No, but sound check. Okay, but you can get the Kaiser rolls sent to you from New York,
Yeah, we did that. We tried it.
and then make. Yes, yeah, they were vacuum sealed. You just have to eat them. They're good enough.
They're not off the truck in the morning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the water and culture.
Yeah.
Turn it off. Talk about New York food from here. That's it. Tonight is
Yeah, but some
Italian deli food.
pizza places can get the water right. So they filter their water, but it's the pH. It
Yeah.
needs to be like 70.
Welcome to Wednesday Bible Study. Where'd everyone go? Oh, Ed's away. Ed's probably watching.
Yes.
I'll get a text from her.
Yeah.
All right, so Heather's going to take I think my mic is a little, do you have it on? It's a little hot. So Heather's going to take the wheel.
Yeah.
Jesus, take the wheel.
I know. That was the last time I did my testimony. That was the title.
Okay.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Good.
Yeah, I didn't do Bible study questions. I wanted to be more of just an open sharing of everyone's kind of salvation story, because that's, obviously shared mine. It was a little more detailed than the past, kind of what God does to you, and you're able to kind of look back a little bit with more unfiltered lenses to really look at the wreckage. But really, the main point in it is just carrying each other's burdens, because when, at least in the program of recovery that I'm in, it's based on the book of James, and which most people don't know, that entire program is based on the Bible, which is why it has, confessing your sins to someone else and your higher power. It's all laid in there. They've just tweaked certain things in order to make it welcoming to everyone. But for me, it's two sides of the same coin. And what has been such a blessing to me through my recovery is because it's both sides of the same coin. I was here Sunday. I'm not gonna out anyone, but I looked out in the audience and realized that I felt like I was at a meeting with how many people were here from that realm. And to have been in church as long as I have, and for my church family to be on par with that fellowship, because they're not always the same, has been a true blessing for me. So when I say you guys have loved me back to life, I felt that there, but to be able to create a culture here that is on par with that, because they do church sometimes. I've heard in the rooms that they do church better than church does, and to be able to match that here has been an incredible blessing on all ends, that we're actually doing church. We're not just being church, we're not playing church, we're actually doing church. And I think that has sadly made us very different than everyone else, but has made me very comfortable being able to share that part of my testimony, where in the beginning of my walk, that was not, it's something I wasn't comfortable sharing, because especially from the culture we were in, as Jean had said on Sunday, we lived in an area where you don't share your weaknesses or they're used against you. And so you have an extra wall up when you're trained in the Northeast. And I was trained by New York, even though I lived in California, that it created an extra barrier for me to break down when I first came down here and admitting I had a problem. And so going through that and carrying each other's burdens, and really everyone has their vice. We're not human if we're not, we're not perfect. That's why we need Christ. We need to surrender that to him and giving him that heavy lifting, but helping each other through life as a true church family is really what makes a difference in this, instead of just coming Sunday, kind of clocking in and clocking out, but really putting in the lifting with each other. And we buddy people up and make sure that you have someone else that you can work with, that you're really creating that family environment. Because most of us, from my own experience, I didn't have the best family life. My dad's in Oregon, my mom's in Texas. We stay in touch the best we can, but one thing that we're able to do in our adult lives is being able to pick your new family. And when we're brothers and sisters in Christ, when we really actually do what the gospel says, it's just that true miracle of continued sanctification, and wherever you're at. And even if you're not, as long as in my mind, if you're not moving backward, even if you're staying in place, at least you're not reversing back to who you were. And hopefully creating a comfortable enough environment. That's why I share my story, that you guys can share it with each other and not feel ashamed of what you were before Christ. We joke BC, like before Christ in our lives, and really allowing other people to carry those burdens, because I felt like I was laying it on other people. It was too heavy for them to carry. And so the more I held on to it, the heavier it got, until I finally let other people in. And walking through life together has just been a true miracle in so many different ways, aside from the miracle of recovery, but the miracle of doing church the way that we're supposed to, and being able to lay our burdens out. So I wanted to leave today open to just more of an open discussion of where you guys have come from, where your stories, if you feel comfortable sharing or not. Jean and I are very good at talking and filling in the blanks. We can talk for an hour if you'd like us to. We're very good at that. Sometimes I have a
Or,
hard time.
or if you have questions for
Or
us.
questions,
because,
yeah.
like I'm your pastor, is my wife, and we're just very transparent. This whole
Yeah.
thing, we don't really have anything to hide, and we are very good. She's very good at just airing her mistakes. That's kind of why I laugh. Like if you go to, can I say the organization or no? I can. I just say recovery.
Be careful.
Recovery. You know what it
Yeah.
is. 2 letters, right? So, so they do what it says in James 5. They confess their sins to one another. And so she's gotten very good at that. And when she says they do church better there sometimes than here, yeah, because there are a lot of Christians being really fake in church, where, I went to the first AA meeting and I was like, whoa, and if you go.
I know. It doesn't lend its name out to other individuals.
I'm not in the program.
Yeah, there are traditions.
So
okay.
she didn't make the mistake. Sorry. I'm an angel. So I was searching for a word. So stupid. But anyway, but it was shocking. It was shocking because I was like, wait a minute, they're doing everything that Christians should be doing, it's really crazy with a lot of bad words, but that's
yes.
okay. But if you go to a particular place nearby, it doesn't discriminate. I was pretty amazed. Like there were Bentleys, bicycles, you know what I mean? Like I could not believe it. I was like, this is pretty amazing stuff. There's people just crying and, confessing and then being there to help one another and sponsor one another. I'm like, and that's where it really started to hit me because I was in the worship ministry, I think, at the time, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was in the worship ministry at the time, and I'm like, this is worship. This is worship. Like we may be singing some lies, like because this is where the rubber meets the road. And so when I became a pastor, I said, look, okay, we got to start getting closer to that and stop faking it so much. It's just so, but it's very convicting that it had to come from that. That's kind of weird. But I just would want to say one thing, adding to your message, is that it's not always observable to everybody, but I think, well, this part is, but Christians, they get in church and they get into Christian bubble. And they make their little Christian communities. And we have to remember, like, the Church of Acts, the Church of Acts. Yeah. So they want to do everything like they did in the Church of Acts, except give everything away. And so when a mega church cites, but see, they added 3,000, 5,000 to their numbers. And then they gave everything away. Nobody was with a need. Oh, no, we don't want to do that part. We just want to have a lot of people. You know what I mean? No, you want to pick and choose. But we forget something. What were they doing, right? They didn't always do everything right. So they're stacking up. But then what happened? A great wave of persecution hit them and spread them out. Because what did Jesus say? Go and make disciples, right? And then what happened? Paul's writing to small churches, home churches. He's not writing to big churches. You know what I mean? He's writing to these small, maybe 50-person churches. So think, how did it progress? We're supposed to go. And so what is Paul doing? He's going, he's working with people, he's hanging out with people, he's talking to people, right? So wherever he goes, whether it's Mars Hill or whatever, he's going and talking to the other philosophers, the people who are not Christians, a lot. Yes, he is loving his Christian community, but he's also talking a lot outside. And so, that's why, like, when we show a movie, I'm like, no. Don't pick some cheesy Christian movie. Just pick a movie that the rest of the community who's not a Christian wants to see, that can't afford to come to the movies. We'll show that to them and show them that we love them. That's it. No bait and switch, nothing. Show them a movie they want to see, and we're a church. You know what I mean? So this is a safe spot, right? Because too many Christians, we huddle. And we pick our little Christian programs and life groups and all these things. It's like, why do we do that? It just doesn't make any sense. And so we developed this. If you've been in Christianity for a while, I'd encourage you to step outside of it and look from the outside in. It's weird. We have our own Christianese language. We have all these things that we do. And so we're going right back to where they thought Christians were really weird in the beginning, too. And so Paul says, 1 Corinthians 9, I can be all things as long as it's not sin for the sake of the gospel. Right? So with the Jews, I eat like a Jew. When with the Gentiles, I'm not sinning, but I'm like the Gentiles. Right? So I'm trying to meet everybody where they are. So one thing about Heather that it's not obvious, and it might be like, Carol Lee would tell you this. People start to get close to us, tell you this, like, we try to go and hang out with a lot of people who aren't Christians. Like, that's important to us. She has a lot of friends who aren't Christians, but she's working on it. She's trying to love them into Christianity, right? So it's one of the things she's doing. So I want to say, well, congratulations. She just got a job. So she got a new job, and it's in a secular world. So she came on for a season. She's always volunteered, but she came on for a season to help us out, train up Cara Lee, but that job is done now. And so now she's out in the secular world again. And talking to people. So, I mean, she hopes to convert her boss's wife. Like, that's it. That's where it's at. You see what I mean? So we spend a lot of time, like, outside the church bubble. If you watch me during the week, I don't spend a whole lot of time here. Why? If I need to meet with you and you need a neutral space, we'll meet here. That's it. Okay. But then when I'm done with my meetings, I go out. I'm just out. I don't want to be stuck here all the time. It's not good. So it's good to worship together. It's good to do this together. It's good to have our fellowships in the cafe together. But we got to get out. So that's one thing you might not know about Heather. She spends a lot of time with secular people, not because she's doing anything wrong, but because she's trying to convert all of them. You know what I mean? So good job, Phoebe. So.
Yeah, I told my neighbor, she lives, the church is right behind her, and I said I go to that church right there. She knew Heather.
I know who you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's always out and about. We do lunches all over the place. Today, Robert and I did lunch, and we were talking about the church, talking about the cafe, just really being really nice to the waitresses and getting to know everybody in the community. So I'd rather do my meetings there. I'd rather have lunches and coffees with people and just, introduce myself to we're talking to somebody else about the church. But we always are. We're just always talking about the church. Just always talk, come on in, we do this, talk about the cafe. So if they're not ready, because some people go, oh, if I go into church, I'll burn up. I'm like,
We'll get hit by lightning.
Yeah, I would be ashes right now.
Yeah, if I did.
But the cafe is like a cool place, right? So the waitress today, she, I said, oh, I'm a pastor. And she was like, like that's weird. But then I said, oh, but we also have a cafe. And this is, so about restaurant stuff. And she was like, oh, that's interesting. She took a card.
Yeah.
So that's one thing a lot of people don't know about her that I would add to the story. She's like very much a part of the Naples. A lot of people know Heather. Like, she's very much part of the community. But that's what we're supposed to do. That if you've been living in a community for 10 years and nobody knows you, how are you fulfilling that great commission?
Yeah. I consider it being a foot soldier. And one thing in the program that I learned that we've applied here is attraction, not promotion. It's being the light. Because I've dealt and counseled a lot of women who have a hard time in their jobs. Like, well, some are either yogis or in massage therapy, and they're in environments where it's kind of like a buffet. Well, everyone's got, we've all been there, but helping remind them that you're the light. And that's the thing, that's what helped me in recovery, is when people it's attraction, not promotion. Because we know those people that try and shove anything down your throat. You're the first to walk, at least I'm the first to walk away from it. It's in my nature, but but generally being that light. And then they say, wow, that person has something I want. What is that? It's Christ, or it's sobriety, or it's, it become that light that people are attracted to, as opposed to forcing it. Yeah. And so that,
we tell them.
Yeah.
If they say something different, we do not argue. We just go, fine, I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you, and you're going to see.
And that's truly loving your neighbor and doing that, and that's.
Yeah. So we always say it's important to tell people, right? But you tell them, but at the same time they say something different. I'm like, okay, let me show you why this is better.
I find it's very disarming. They find out I'm a pastor's wife after they meet me, and they're like, after they've already dropped 4 F-bombs. I'm like, it's all right. I lived in an MMA gym. You're not going to offend me.
Yeah, I know.
But it allows them to be themselves, and just letting them be themselves. And then they go, whoa, oh, okay. I tell people, it's not my job to judge. Leadership, there's a different criteria. But if they haven't decided to follow our rules, that's not up to me. I'm here to show you the way. I'm here to love you like Christ told me to love you. And when you want to know, I'll tell you where to go. It's all him.
So many times, people around her have hit bottom, and then they come in.
Yeah.
Then they're like, okay, I'm ready.
Yep.
So we're just there for the people that don't want it right away, but they know where to come. They know where to go if they want to get better. So.
Well, we call it. You may be the only in our recovery. It's a big book, but you may be the only walking big book. But for me, it's also you may be the only walking Bible that someone sees. And so, being that is more important than anything else. The same thing Jean's joked about, having like a Jesus fish on your
gonna do
car,
it
flipping someone off and cutting them off in traffic. Well, that doesn't bode well for Christians. They're like, oh, of course, there they go again, as opposed to just being it and doing it. So that's why I don't have a Jesus fish on, because I like to cut people off. And
you have
I'm
a
little
heavy
bit of an angry
foot.
driver.
And you are aggressive.
So I don't misrepresent myself in certain scenarios. Progress, not perfection.
I'm going to talk about that this Sunday too.
I know you
You're
will.
going to hate me.
It's fine. I've already laid my sins out in front of the church. It's all right. We're good. So
Not those.
not those, but hey,
No.
I'm good. But anyway, so that's where, again, if you guys have questions for us, our journey, what
Or
we've
you
been
want to
through,
share your story.
or you want to share your
whatever.
story, we're an open book, as long as it is live. But, or where you guys are at, where your story is at, and Beth.
As well. Yeah. Okay.
Don't share Sundays though.
I won't.
Save
I won't.
that. Okay.
That's how.
Save that one. That's.
With my ADHD, I had to kind of go back and say, wait, you got to cut that part off.
Oh.
I
Yeah.
will be
Let's save
recycled.
it. Let's save it. It's good. I got a good testimony and stuff. It's going to be good.
I was raised conservative Baptist. I was adopted when I was an infant, and my parents were very, very conservative. We went to church 4 or 5 times a week. However, as strict as it was a great foundation for me, having a personal relationship with the Lord. I've always felt that I've had a personal relationship with my Christ. And so my life went, just normal kid stuff. And then I became a teenager, and I decided to rebel against all of this, going to church 5, 6 times a week. And, of course it upset my parents, but the 2 siblings before me had also rebelled. They didn't want to go either, and, okay, that's their path. Then I went through the normal teenage, really not close with the Lord, but I always still believe, never denied Him. Then it came time when I met my first husband, and my parents immediately assumed that he was not a Christian, never even asking him, because he rode a motorcycle and wore a leather jacket. So that made me more determined to, marry him. And so we got married, and we decided to raise our children not in the conservative Baptist or the Baptist religion, but in the Methodist religion, because my thought was, let them at least learn, but don't make them have to go all the time, and let them get a feeling of their own personal walk. And we did that, and the kids all still, they believe, but they're just not, I can't get them reined in enough. They're just not, maybe it was because I would go to church, now as an adult, maybe not go to church, I would read my own Bible, my own time with the Lord. So that's my big struggle. They know where I stand, they know my beliefs. That marriage didn't work. Yeah, it didn't work. And I suffered a lot in my thoughts with that, because it's a little difficult for me in this, because he fell in love with somebody else and decided that he had never loved me and wanted a divorce. And so we got divorced. And I met CJ. And actually, before I met CJ, the Lord had said to me, I was at my makeup mirror and I was praying while I was putting on makeup. And this was what, a year before I met you. And I heard clearly, watch for the guy with the dot in the eye. He's going to change your life. What is that? Okay? Huh? And CJ, I was in counseling because I just was getting over this first marriage, divorce and everything. And I was advised to go to, what was it called? What was it, the meetings? Because that's how we met. We met in church at the meeting. What was it? Codependency. Coda. And so the therapist had suggested I go to a CODA meeting, and I was like, okay, I'll go to this CODA meeting. And he went to the CODA meeting. And you're not supposed to hook up with people in the
first year.
Right.
That's the rule.
That is not my life, so bad, right?
It kind of defeats,
Right.
yeah.
That's right. So
They call it the 13th step.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the meeting ended, the first meeting ended. I looked like really horrible. I just, was so distressed and everything. And I walked out, and this kind man said to me, they didn't have any coins, but here, I will give you my coin. And I was like, that is the sweetest thing anyone had ever done for me, okay? And he goes, you take this coin until they get the coins and you can get your own coin. They'll give you a coin. And I was like, okay. And he goes, would you like to go out for coffee with the group? I said, no, I gotta get home. Not any coins, but here, I will give you my coin. And I was like, that is the sweetest thing anyone had ever done for me, okay? And he goes, you take this coin until they get the coins and you can get your own coin. They'll give you a coin. And I was like, okay. And he goes, would you like to go out for coffee with the group? I said, no, I gotta get home. My kids, my kids, I gotta get home. So I went home and I had this coin, okay? Now, I'm like, what do I do with this coin? Because it's not my coin, it's his coin. So I held it, then it went in the wash, I lost it, and I had to tear the house apart to try to find that coin, because it's not my coin, it's his coin. So I found the coin, I go the next week, he's not there. And I still have this, I really need to give him back his coin. It's like babysitting a coin, 2 weeks later, he came back. He had been on vacation, and he was sitting in his truck. And as soon as I saw him, I got out of my car real quick, and I said, I'm so happy to see you. Here's your coin back, okay? He goes, did you get your coin? I said, I got my coin. Here's your coin back. He goes, okay. So anyway, that night, I did go to coffee, and we talked, and maybe like a week later, I said, can I look in your eye, please? He goes, what? Can I look in your eye? Just trust me on this. Sure enough, he had a dot in the white of his eye. And, right? I think you still have it there. Maybe not. But, sure enough. And I knew, that he was the one. Well, we got married, that didn't work. But anyway, the rest of my life. Anyway. So now, fast forward, okay, fast forward. Then we moved to Florida, and COVID hit. And we weren't finding a church when we first moved here. That wasn't going to happen because of COVID. And the Lord kept saying, look, I really want to make it more personal. How much more personal do you want? No, you really need to find a church. No, you really need to get really into the Bible. Now, it would be maybe, I want to say maybe the 4th time I would have read it, okay, the whole Bible. And I guess I wasn't doing what he wanted me. I wasn't paying enough attention to what he was saying. So, June 8th, I think, of last year, I walked out on my wet lanai and I went and broke my femur. Never broke a bone before in my body. And I shattered it. It was shattered. And I was rushed to the hospital. I had emergency surgery. They did all this. Well, that was a good 8 to 12 week bit of you're just going to sit and now it's me and you, dearie. And I was like, okay, I got it. I'm listening. So in my prayers, I found that I just kept praying, all right, Lord, I know you want me to go to church. And really, quite honestly, churches have gotten a bad rap. They really have. People don't want to go to church anymore. They would prefer to sit in their homes and read their Bibles and have their own personal ethos saying, no, you're going to church. Yeah. But just the connection with other people is so important, other Christians. And, you know, I was like, Lord, I don't want the pomp and circumstance. I don't want all of this crazy. And, you know, I have a lot of, you know, stuff in my past. Stuff that people may not understand. And he's like, look, I know your heart. You're good. I really want you to get into a church. I said, then Lord, I really would like to get into a Bible preaching, teaching church. That's what I want. If I'm reading the Bible again, I want to be able to connect the dots. I want to understand it. I don't want to just read it and say, oh, I read it 5 times now, it'll be for me. You know, let me understand what I'm reading again. I know the basics. And he said, okay, I have a church for you. I said, okay, let's go. So I went to one church. Just nobody wanted to talk to us. Nobody was interested. Nobody. And it was the same sermons that you hear, you know, that just are like, been there, done that, heard it, okay. It's not helping me here. But it's very nice, you know, I'm not saying. So then we live on.
You are a New Yorker. You're bringing me back. It's so expressive. Yes. But very nice. But very nice. But very nice.
Then the Lord says to me, because I was like, oh, this isn't really working. So he says, all right, well, how about we try the Baptist church, which is right on the road that we live on that everybody would joke, have you been to the Baptist church yet, okay? So we went. And it was very nice, and I had found that a lot of the conservative, really tough stuff that I grew up with wasn't as bad this time at that church. And I thought, well, maybe Southern Baptist is a little different, maybe not as conservative. This is good. Maybe this will work, Lord. And then I had one conversation with the pastor, and I asked him, I said, in your communion, because I was baptized obvious, okay, in your communion, is it open or closed? And he said, closed. And I went, wow, you really didn't change. You know, I understand.
Can you explain what that means?
Open communion is open. What did I say? Baptist?
Yeah, in case people don't know. Just
okay. Open communion is open to everyone. It's their personal walk. It's
like what we do here.
Yeah.
Right. And a closed communion is no, you're not allowed. Like in the Catholic Church, if you go as a visitor, even though you're a Christian, no, you cannot have communion. And I thought, no, I don't. Sorry, but I don't believe that. So we never went back. Now I'm like, all right, now what, Lord? Okay, we're like, what am I gonna do? So he goes, non-judgmental. non-judgmental churches. Yes. C3 came up. Okay? First church. Okay? And
Did you do that too? Oh, that would be hilarious.
awesome. And I'm like, and I'm scrolling through, and your beliefs follow what I believe, and and I'm like, all right, I will listen to the sermon, and maybe it was a Monday or a Tuesday. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Bible teaching church. So we decided we're going. And I'm only going to get up to when we
Yeah. Save the crazy part. This part is pretty crazy, but it's...
His is far better. So the first week we're going to come, it was like 38 degrees out. Okay?
Yes, it was like really cold Sunday where I was like, where do we live?
And iguanas were falling out of trees.
Yeah, there was fallen iguana word.
We're coming, and I'm like, I'm not going out in 38 degrees weather
Florida, it was cold.
without a winter coat from New York that I don't have anymore. Okay, I will freeze. So we didn't come that. The next, I don't know, maybe I don't know, cold, or you had to work one Sunday. It was like the devil was saying, oh no, I don't want you getting anywhere near that church. Nowhere near that church. And so then I said, come on, let's at least drive by it so we know where we're going on a Sunday morning. And we drove in. I was like, wow, this is like, how did you get here from Pine Ridge? Think about it. We had, still, we come through that parking lot where Enterprise is.
Oh.
Okay.
We decided it says to walk up to
We still don't
No,
have
you got
Good let
Pompeii.
to Pompeii. So you're making the first right. Not the first right in the plaza, but the first real road. And so you go down Pompeii, and then you make a left, and we're right on the left.
I tried to do that today. I missed the first one. So I
You
went
got
to
to
the
take the
second
turn from
and
the
I
right
was-
lane of the turn lane.
Okay, now I know.
So
Now
now
I
it's
should
straight.
better way to come instead of so we come here, and I was like, well, this is really pretty cool. But then the devil is saying, no, it has no windows. No stained glass windows. And I'm like, it's okay. I think I can deal with no windows. Okay. And I said to CJ, I said, CJ, do you think I can deal with no windows? And he's like, yeah, you can deal with it. We pull in the parking lot, and Wendy and her husband were in the parking lot because she had car trouble that day.
Oh.
And now we're talking like this is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You were still here at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, wow, they must like have like long services. Services start at 10, and she's still here at 3. But and one thing I asked Wendy was, is like everyone judgmental? Are they non-judgmental? Which she's like, no, you'll like it here. I said, well, I was raised conservative Baptist. She goes, oh, like that. You'll like it here. Just like that, she said. And I was like, well, next week we're coming, but then the next week we didn't come. I think you had to work again. And I was like, look, we really have to make this our effort because I want to see you live, like in person. And the next week we came, and literally after it was so not a lot of pomp and circumstance. You sing your 3 songs. You have it's like going to school. I feel like I'm in college. I'm in school. I'm learning. I'm connecting the dots through your service, and really, it's such a blessing because that is exactly what I prayed for. And then now you will hear on Sunday the rest of this story because it is absolutely only the Lord could do it.
Yeah, because God is it. Yeah, but what the funny part about it is that
Small world.
Yeah,
small.
yeah, it is. Yeah. It'll stop there. Stop
We'll
there.
stop there.
Yeah. Stop there.
Only God can put these dots together.
It's weird. It's very weird. It's like, yeah.
I
It's,
thank you for listening. I feel like I'm home.
Good, welcome home. Welcome home. That's our goal here, it's just, it should feel like.
Welcome home. Yeah.
It'll be embarrassing. Why are you
Like-
embarrassed?
Mine's a pretty complicated story, so I'm not going to really go into detail. I just want to, I didn't grow up knowing God at all. I didn't go to church, nothing. In fact, there was a period in the mid to late 90s that I denied the existence of God. Jesus was just a man at that point in my life. I get involved in some bad things, and I found myself November 2008 sitting in a courtroom, being charged with a felony theft. And to me, it was a miracle. It was I was not physically dead, but spiritually I was a dead man walking, I thought I had three choices. I could run. Where would you run to? I could kill myself. And the third choice was just to be a man and taking consequences. I'm glad I chose the third choice, and I showed up for court. And, I was asked, if you don't have representation, which of course I didn't, go see the lady in the back, and I go back there, and she's like, well, you have a job? Get out of here, we can't help you. And this is, maybe 9:30 in the morning, and I just remember sitting there by myself, and I don't know, I started praying. And I don't know other people's stories. I don't know how to even articulate it, but that's the day that God was there, Jesus was there, the Holy Spirit was there. I could see him hovering above the courtroom. And he reached down, and it's the day, a dead man was raised to life. And they sat there for quite a while before they finally called my name. And I go up there and, I'm by myself, and the judge says, well, do you have anybody that represents you? And the next thing I know, there's this lawyer standing next to me. She's a Christian. She says, I'm here to represent you. I should have gone to prison. I didn't. I got 6 months in a county workhouse in restitution. And, we talk about it, we all make mistakes. I made a pretty big mistake, but my Father in heaven had to discipline me, but he didn't throw the book at me, It's like, you have to do this stuff in the county workhouse, and you got to pay some restitution. But, that's the gist of my story. That's, a dead man brought back to life. And it's not been easy since, I've been divorced, married, divorced. And now I find myself in Florida, and I looked for churches too. And this was the second one I visited, and I never left. Two is home, and I just want to say, just very grateful for this church family. You are my family. You're all I got. And so.
Yes. Kelly?
I wasn't sure how to introduce myself. We're not in a meeting.
She said it was going to be.
Okay, my name is Carolee. I am a recovering codependent, which is true. I did grow up in and out of the church. My father felt it was very important that we go to church on Sundays. I was involved in all the vacation Bible schools and Sunday schools and all that. So I grew up with God, but I never understood it. I loved just going to hang around and be with the people and take care of the little babies and everything like that. So when I moved to Florida, when I was living with my mom, we never really found a church. We would go church shopping, and a lot more that I just didn't really understand at that time of why we didn't really go consistently. That has been brought to my attention later in life. My mom went to C3 when I was maybe in like 7th grade. So about the time that I think I was like 12 or 13, around whatever that age that is. So she was, she had a mentor named Sandra, and she would go and talk to Sandra and everything like that, and she invited us to a tea party. No, we're not going to do that anymore. But it was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. So we went to this tea party. It was weird. It was really weird.
That's why we don't do tea parties.
Yeah, it was really weird. They had like a fake Doris Day sing, and I'm just like the whole entire time like, okay, what's going on? So anyways, we stopped going to church for a few years, and then I don't know why, but I don't know what made us come back again. I didn't have the decision. My mom, sorry, she wanted us to get plugged into a youth group. So we got in touch, me mainly, because my father wasn't really in my life. I was looking for love in all the wrong places and acting out. A little side part, my mom works nights, so I got home from school. My mom would leave to go to work, and I would take care of my younger siblings who are 5 and 6 years younger than me. So I didn't have much discipline, and I got to do whatever I want. Hence why she wanted me to go to youth group. It's free. It's run by Christian people. It's a safe place. So I started going to youth group. I grew out of youth group. Literally, I aged out of youth group and became a leader. Bad choice. Started going to a small group, which was great, and then I graduated high school at that point in time and went off into the world, doing my own thing, which was not good. It was terrible. Lots of drinking, lots of pot, and I got to the point where I tried cocaine for the first time, and then the drug dealers wouldn't give me any more the next week when I was like trying to come back, which is great. That's great, because I don't know where I would be if I would have continued down that path. So I had to find another job, and my friend from high school at the time had posted, anybody willing to come in and work tonight? You'll get paid like X dollars an hour, and I was the first one to respond, so I drove all the way down from Bonita to a warehouse where they needed someone to take shirts off of a dryer at a t-shirt printing shop. And so I got the job. I looked terrible. I literally was in the middle of bleaching my hair from brown to blonde. My hair was orange. Not even joking. My hair was orange. Yeah, it was terrible. It's strawberry blonde. No, girl. It was bad. So I started working with them. Well, they were sober, and which was crazy because the friend at the time was not like that in high school. He lived in detention. So after a while, I was just kind of telling them about like what was going on in my life. I was still partying a little bit at that time. And one day I finally looked at them and was like, why are you so happy? What do you have to be happy about? And I just broke down to them one day because I was just done. And he said, I think that you need to go talk to my friend, which made me remember about you sharing your story on Sunday, Angel. I want you to go and talk to Angel. So he gave me this chick's number, and I called her. And I went over to her house the next evening, and Angel asked me if I believed in God. And at that point in time, I told her, I grew up, I know God, but at the very end of the day, I really don't know if he's actually there for me. She's like, okay, well, first thing that we're going to do, I'm going to ask you to get down on your on your knees, we're going to pray. She took the stage, she cleansed me, and Angel became my first CODA sponsor. Sorry. So, went through CODA. I had to take a break from CODA, go to AA so that I could stop drinking, stop smoking pot and everything like that. And then she started taking me through the steps. And I knew that I really burned that relationship. After about a year and a half into it, I just kind of started ignoring her. I didn't pick up the calls. I didn't text her. I didn't follow up anymore. I stopped going. There was only like 2 CODA meetings in the entire like Southwest Florida area. And so I stopped going to meetings because she was going to be there. Did what I was not supposed to do and started dating. We ended up getting married and everything, but ended up dating. Wasn't supposed to do that. That was a secret. And it was just all of those things over and over and over again. And during that time, I remember I was looking for another job, and I went up to Jean actually one day after service because my sister was on the worship team at the time. So for about 2.5, 3 years, I would just wake up and somehow drive my sister to church so that she could go to worship practice. And I would sit there and I'm like, oh, you're so great. And then drive her back home. And it was a Christmas Eve service. And my grandparents were in town. And I was sitting in the back row. And Chloe, I think she was singing on stage that day. And it killed me because they started singing and everything. And I was so drunk. Sitting in the back pew. And I'm like, really? Like, I can't even praise. What am I doing here? But I had asked Jean later a few weeks if there was any, like if Heather actually needed any work done, because I knew that she was working at a job and wasn't sure if she had heard of anything. And he said, I actually think that we're looking for like a part-time secretary just to kind of like come and sit in the office. And fast forward again, CODA and everything, I literally started my sobriety journey and my codependency journey in the church as the part-time secretary. And I can't really say that I had a huge awakening moment. My moments when I've been getting closer to God just kind of come extremely randomly. Like I'll be sitting in for communion and like, I don't think that God wants me and David to move in together before we get married. There's like, yeah, probably not. If he's the right one for you, he'll understand. And I'm like, okay. And that's just kind of how it's been between the whole thing, and just little in spurts. And then going to Heather, and she's like, yeah, probably a good idea. Okay, I'm going to do that now. So it never was a huge revelation or anything. It was literally steps at a time. And Heather was a big part of that. Heather ended up, I don't know, it's never been official, but she's like my mentor sponsor. So she knows. She knows. And so she's really helped kind of guide me to who I am today with so much. I mean, I still have such a long way to go with my codependency, but like just even thinking back of how far I've come is insane. And the mental awareness and the freedom that I have now, even to the point of like Heather was trying to help me lose weight and like get active and take care of myself for years. It's finally starting to click that it's okay to take care of yourself. I went into Jean's office one day and I said, I keep reading this Bible and I just really don't understand it. Like I have no idea what's going on. And he gave me a version that I would understand and said, read Mark, come back to me when you think that you know what it's saying. And then I went on from there. And yeah, here I've been able to take care of myself, but not only that, actually build a relationship with God. So that in those midnight hours, I'm not hopeless anymore. I know where to go to. I mean, I used to not know where people went when they got into their car and stormed off, and I like drive 5 minutes away from wherever I'm at. I'm like, okay, God, let's put on the Bible. And so I have solutions now, but the end, I'm going to take over the
Yeah, and like what I would say is that these are products of, it all begins like, and hopefully you guys realize this, it all begins where like I was talking about the worship. It's like when you set out to, how do I put it? Like, let's say you're going to plant a church. And so the way most churches are planted, in Naples especially, the guy's coming here because it's an affluent area. So that's a thing. And so, the pastor will start, and then he'll, pay a worship leader because that's got to be perfect, and they'll start building off of the worship a lot and the message. And the message is usually a nice, polished, 30-minute thing, make people feel good. And they'll immediately jump to the production. So you got to have the production. It's got to be of a good production value. It's very important. And she's been there. You can attest to this, where pastors it's at a high value. And so there's a lot of staff meetings about it. So-and-so messed up. We got to get that better. It's got to polish it up or people won't come. But what are you doing? Like when you do that, you're attracting the wrong kind of person. That's what you're doing. You're attracting someone who needs the lights, the production, the show, the feel-good. And so what are you going to get? People don't get it. They just don't get it. And so when you flip it, and I think you're cool with this, but when Carolee was going through all that, she wasn't perfect. You know what I mean? It wasn't, you're good, right? Okay.
Pastor would walk by and I would be doing my makeup at the desk.
We knew she was not right, like we knew, but
a work in progress.
But we're like, you know what? Let's just same thing. Let's just love her. It doesn't. But there were other pastors and people in the church that would complain about her. This isn't right. These bulletins, no joke. These bulletins aren't straight. It's like she's high. But you know what I mean? But the bulletins wouldn't be straight. And we're like, we're loving her. You know what I mean? We got heat about was the bulletins not being folded right. You got to answer the phone a certain way. Whatever it was, and they just didn't get it. No. And I would pull some people, and here as a pastor, your hands are tied behind your back because they can't see what I'm doing. It's like, no, she's in recovery, and she's got 5 minutes sober. So let's just try to get to 5 hours, and then let's just try to get to a day, and we're trying to love her into that. It's gonna work. It just takes time, and so it's better that she sits here at a church than goes to a bar. And so there's a strategy here, and it's worth paying someone a little bit of money, it's missions, I don't know, whatever it is. This is very personal, but it wasn't perfect. Things weren't perfect. And so if you've been here for a long time, you've seen people develop gripes or complaints and things like that, and they'll leave over something that just isn't important, or maybe the question was, don't you think he's trying to do something here? There's probably a strategy. And so that's, you know what I mean? And so it was really funny because, you shared a form with someone. I sent a form to some people in leadership because I want to change the website verbiage. Like I said, I'm like, this isn't, because there's a hodgepodge of all the previous pastors. I'm like, this is kind of a bad art project. So I'm like, I'm just going to erase everything and I'm going to start defining who we are. And part of it literally says, we are a family, community-based church. It is not our goal to be a mega church. It's our goal to know each and every single individual. And that includes the pastor knowing you. You know what I mean? That's it. That's our goal. If you're here for long enough, I'm here. So that's it, right? So it was really funny because I think I'm going to post that on some of my social media. There were questions like, what do you like about the church? What are buzzwords that make you think of the church? Bible-believing church, Bible-teaching church, a church that cares, a friendly church, all the right things. The next line was, do you have any input? No! Exclamation point. If it ain't broke, don't fix it! Exclamation point. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Don't change anything. I know what I want to put on social media. I want to put a checkbox next to all those good things. Bible believing, teaching church, putting God first, or whatever it is. All those things. Check them off. Circle the no. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You're doing it right. And let other church leaders, hey, pastors, if these things are checked off, then those people will come. Then those people will come. So these pastors out there are trying, they're wannabe megachurches, right? They really are. They're wannabe. If you're saying you want to get hundreds, if you're thousands of people, you're a wannabe megachurch. But if you're trying all the wrong things, please stop complaining about people complaining. Because you're creating consumers. You're cultivating a consumer attitude. So stop complaining about that.
Church is not an
It's a
as-seen on
business.
TV
It's,
product.
yeah, it's not a. So, but
Yeah.
anyway, so just give them what they need. The wolves will leave.
Yep.
The sheep will stay. You know what I mean? And that's it. And that's the kind of culture we're trying to develop here. And Carol Lee's a product of that working. She's not perfect. She's still not perfect. I'm not perfect.
None of
Nobody's
us are.
perfect, but we don't ask for perfection. We don't ask for that.
Progress.
Just
Yeah,
keep
keep
going.
moving
And what did
forward.
I say to you?
Keep
Just
swimming.
keep swimming. I was like, just keep swimming. She's like, but this and this, and even the conversation today, because it wasn't right. Things weren't right. Now, that was a good thing. You know, she had some barista come in, try the coffee, and the coffee machine's not working. We don't know what we're doing. You know, it's like this whole thing. She comes in, like, I don't know. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know how to make coffee. And I'm like,
Okay.
I don't care. You know, I'm like, because it's not about the coffee.
Yeah.
So if that person never comes back,
But
whatever,
if anything,
you know. But the thing is,
Yeah.
it's not about the coffee being perfect. It's about loving people, you know. And so, do we want to make good coffee? Yes, you know. But we'll get there. We'll get there, right? But I want us to get it there. You know, like, well, let's do it together, right? Let's not up a payroll budget, spend $100,000 to $150,000 on professional snobby baristas. You know, it's like, no, let's just all do this as a family. It'll happen. I've been talking to, hey, you want to volunteer a little bit? It'll help Carolee do the office work for a minute. You know, she can come up and say, she'll figure out the coffee. You figure out how to cut straight eventually. So, but you can definitely figure out and that's what it is. You know,
Yeah.
Sophie will figure out the coffee or something. I don't know.
It'll
You know what I
happen.
mean? Like, but that's the mentality. So, but a lot of these churches are coming in here and that they're not really trying to be churches. They're trying to be businesses.
A business,
They're,
yeah.
you know, so the coffee's got to be perfect day one. I'm like,
no.
no, it doesn't. It just does not. It just does not. Let's just love people, and that's okay. And you just, we don't want those kinds of people. We don't want customers. We don't want consumers. We want people. I don't know. We want just good sheep, good people. Just, you know, there's no such thing as a good person. Let's not get theologically inaccurate. But I know we're doing the sharing thing, but you know, eventually we gotta. Let's get back to that. But yeah, you know, and it was really important to us is we've come to like really the final stages of turning that big ship around because we were very, very consumer. I know what it's like to be a consumer-driven church. We tried to do it, but now we're here. We're where we want to be. We've codified our identity. We know what we stand for. We know what we want. So that's why we've been spending the last couple of weeks just making sure we intentionally
Message that out.
yeah, message that out on you that you understand who we are. Excuse me, and who we are as people. You know, we try to be very, very transparent. You know, it's not too many pastors' wives get up and say that on a Sunday morning. You know what I mean? It's like, but whatever. You know what I mean? I've made mistakes. She's made mistakes. We're not perfect, but here's the thing, and this is how it casts out, and it goes to your lives. You know, did you learn from it? That's the thing. Did you learn from it? And so, church, did you learn from it? It's not working. 67% dropout rate in the typical youth group. That's it. 67% of youth group Christians will not be Christians. They will not. They will not. And when you go through seminary or go through a process like that, 80% of the people sitting in churches are not Christians. They're not. They're going out screaming and yelling the waiter waitress, honking their horn at people, getting into fights, suing each other. Like, it's like, what is this? You know? And they're not in the Word. They're not, you know, it's just, you learn that. It's sad. I learned that in my pastor training. It's called the Pareto principle. That's what that's called, 80-20. It's called the Pareto principle, 80-20. 20% in your church, they're good. 80%,
Good luck.
they don't get it. Good luck. We had one pastor leave our church, one of the final board meetings or something. That was 1 a.m. You know, you're not yoked if you have to argue about things for 4 hours, right? So now your board meetings are like, yep, great. You know, but you know, he's calling in the middle of the night after the board meeting, crying. So they have the pastor breaking down and crying. And then he just blurted out, you know, it's not the last pastor, but a previous pastor, you know, just said, I'm just sick of looking at all these people on the highway to hell.
Watering rocks.
I'm watering rocks every Sunday. Because, you know, he'd give his sermon, it's a really heartfelt thing. He's sharing his heart. People would complain about, I mean, I got yelled at one time. I wore dungarees leading worship in the traditional service. You're going to wear dungarees before you preach or worship? I'm like, because that's important. You know what I mean? Like, but yes. And all the ushers had to have the white jackets. And, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just, we see, I'm saying all this not to put it, I do want to put that down because we're not going back there.
No.
That's where we turned from.
Yeah.
So we've tried it. We've had so many people, not so many, but a lot of people try to tell us, oh, I want to do that again, or I want to do that again, I want to do that again.
We've tried it all. And the more we tried it, we nearly died.
Yeah. And so we just
When we
tell them
walked away
now,
from it,
we're
we
like,
could
then
breathe
you
again.
if you want that, you need another church.
Yep.
You need
Go
another,
somewhere
you just need to go somewhere
Yep.
else because
And
it's just,
that's
we're not
okay.
going to do that. It is, and that's okay. So it's like it's good. It's qualitative. So I just appreciate what she shared. She shared before, so I kind of feel bad because it's like, I kind of suck because, like after she shares, I'm like, good job, but I'm not like I was in the beginning, like that was really powerful, it's like, because I've heard it so much, it's like we live it.
Yeah.
We're very honest with each other, but it was very brave. It's hard, it's very hard to just stand up and speak articulately without going, or being nervous, but to be able to then, say, hey, I tried to kill myself, like that's, that's really hard. But look, you know what I mean? Like, see where I am now. So the big question, did you learn from it? Clearly she learned from it. So that's internally what I want everybody to ask themselves. Did you learn from it? Whatever it was, you've done something wrong, you beat yourself up too much, whatever it is, like, did you learn? How did that work? Now also globally, like church, did you learn from it? So 67% of our kids are leaving the churches. We have the giant worship team, the band, we bought our way into this thing. Are you going to change anything? Nope. We're just going to double down. Wow. And Beth was right earlier. She's like, people are just getting done with, what scandal next? What scandal next? But here's the thing, this guy's committing adultery, or he's doing this, I knew he was going to do that because he was already committing adultery with the world. Read your Bible. Mm-hmm. An idolater, a greedy person is an idolater. So he was already doing it. So what makes you think he's not going to do it with his wife or something else? It's just, it's totally crazy. Mike, I have like 1 minute. I got to close it up. Yep. No, go. I want to give it to you.
Talking about those mega churches, and it's so funny because I've seen so many of those pastors fall. I used to listen to them. And the next thing you know, where are you gone? Oh. But isn't Hillsong going through something like that?
Yeah, I was avoiding the name, but yeah. Big time.
But aren't they from Australia?
Yeah, but they have campuses. Like there was one in New York, and that guy had a
problem. Same thing. Yeah. The guy's out there trying to be a rock star. He was out there, I'm hanging out with Justin Bieber, and here's my boy, like with the selfies and everything, wearing all this like crazy stuff, just a fashion.
One of the churches that I went to in Miami is very good friends with the pastor from that church, all that stuff. That was like the mega church.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it earlier because she said the thing about no windows, and I was like, well, that church I went to was in a middle school auditorium. So it's kind of the same concept. And at first I was like hooked. I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then, kind of some things happened where I was like, I'm not getting sincere, like I'm not getting what I need from a church, essentially.
Look, if the pastor, we'll go 1 more minute, but the pastor at any church, whether it's 50 people, 500 people, they can't meet with everyone all the time. I can't. Right? So let's say we have 150 people that consider themselves members of C3, right? That's fair. Not everybody comes on every Sunday, 80-20, right? So, like we ran MMA gyms. We have 400 people. You couldn't fit 400 people in our gym. So you relied on people not coming in the business world. But not everyone comes. Only a fraction of your members come every Sunday. If I were trying to meet with everyone all the time, I could only meet with everybody twice a year, mathematically, right? I can't, But beware of a church where you can't even get any meeting with the lead pastor at all. What? Then he's not your pastor, right? If you've never met him. So everybody knows. You can fill out a connection card. Everybody knows. I will give you my phone number. Like, I have no problem with that. I'm very accessible. Do you need to meet with me about anything? Some of you, you've met with me. You can just ask on the thing, connect on the thing. So you'll meet with me within a month. Within about a month of being here, if you ask, simply ask, you will get a meeting with me. From that point, if you need any extra help, if it requires my attention, you'll get it. I can't do it all the time. You'll get it. But everybody should be nodding their head. You're going to get buddied up with somebody else. You're going to get an Ed. You're going to get somebody who's going to help check in, right? Because I cannot be with everybody. So on one hand, no pastor can be with everyone all the time. That's how they burn out. They try to do that, and you're gone. You're just gone. You burn out. You can't, But he should be able to meet with you, right? And there's technology. Pastors need to be smart, right? So some of you get a text. If you don't, I'll give you my number. See me. I text a proverb about every day. And so like 70-something people get that text. And I pray for them. Here you go. Paste. All right. Here we go. I go through the list. But what that is I'm opening my door to you. If you have an issue, I just texted you. You know what I mean? But we've had crazy people come in. Well, we don't know how to get in touch with you. He texts you every day. You're just insane. Yeah. So if anyone's ever left and they say that, be like, did you not have his cell phone number? Yeah.
That's a problem.
So that's what I do. I try to open the door for you. And so if I can't schedule a lunch or a meeting with you personally all the time, text me. You know what I mean? And if you really need a phone call, I'll call, and a lot of you are nodding because but when a pastor gets to the point where you have no access to him that's a red flag. That's somebody trying to be a rock star. Run.
Yeah.
On the security team. I was his bodyguard.
So he needed a bodyguard.
He needed several. Well, that's true.
Well, okay. Well, we got a question.
We're trying to wrap it up. So what I'd like to encourage everyone with in all of this, and the miracle, is embrace and be proud of who you are now. It's not about self-importance, it's self-value and value in Christ and who you are in the new creation that he's made you. And from my own recent testimony, I was completely honest about my shortcomings. They're like, what are your weaknesses? I'm a recovering alcoholic. And it was like, record scratch, what? In an interview process. But I was honest about it all throughout. And because I'm not ashamed of it anymore. And I'm proud of what God did for me in my life. And so I want to encourage everyone with where you're at is be that light, be that attraction, not that promotion, and be proud of who you are now and let go of that shame. That's why we carry each other's burdens. It's lighter when we carry it. So take that with you and the value that you have in Christ in his new creation and shedding off who you were of the past because you're not the person anymore. And the more you're proud of who you are now, the more it shines through in everything that you do because it's just the miracle of what I've been through recently is just, I'm surprised by it myself still. I was just like, well, I have nothing else to lose, whatever. So I'm just going to put myself out there. And so just be proud of that. And
joy.
Yeah. So.
Experience joy. I'll correct the pride theology later. But
no, it's not pride. Bring me great joy. Anyway.
It's okay. Do you get the point?
Yes.
The heart of what she's saying.
Yes.
I can ruin anything.
I know, but we don't have another hour. So.
Anything. Okay, guys. Let me pray for you and myself. So, Lord, you hear our hearts. And sometimes the words are not as important, and so you get the point. Just take the time to rejoice in who we are now, and not spend too much time looking in the rearview mirror, so we don't crash. So we have great anticipation, joy, and hope in you, Lord, and in what is to come, in your second coming. In being with you for all eternity, knowing that this is a journey. We're just passing through. Our citizenship is in heaven, and so our joy resides there. And in the meantime, let us all be encouraged that we can take great joy in where you've brought us, especially those listening to this and those sitting here, knowing that they have a home. That's been a big word lately. So we thank you for this earthly home. And for the family of the faith here, brothers and sisters in Christ. And so I thank you for all these people that make up your church, which is the body. your body. And so, Jesus, you are the head. We are thankful for all of this. And so it is in your name that we pray. Amen.